Hey everyone, today I'm going to be doing another video talking to you about this Arsenal SLR 107 CR that I have SBR'd, but today we're going to be focusing on the muzzle device here. This one is from Jmac Custom. Now the name of this one is a little bit of a mouthful, so I'm going to put it at the bottom of the screen so you can just read it along with a link in the description. But this is a 24mm muzzle brake designed for use with 7.62x39. So any of your standard Bulgarian thread pitch stuff or 100 series guns will accept this muzzle brake. Now, before I get too in-depth here, I want to thank my buddy James over at Factory 47 for helping make this video possible. He sponsored the ammo to help me get the number of rounds through this that I wanted to be able to bring you in what will hopefully be an informed review. So definitely check out Factory 47. I'll have a link below if you're interested in AKs. He's got plenty of swag and gear to make to warm our cold commie hearts. So if you're into, Bulgarian guns like this one, you can get a Circle 10 shirt. He's got Romania shirts, Chinese shirts, Egyptian shirts, whatever your favorite flavor of AK, he's got the gear for you. So definitely check that out. But jumping back to the Jmac Customs brake here, it is worth mentioning that I did get a slight discount on this muzzle brake from Jmac Customs, but I did pay for it. So use that information how you will. But I want to start by talking about why I picked this muzzle brake specifically. So if you have a gun that has a 24mm thread pitch, you probably know that we don't have a whole lot of options in the muzzle brake realm, especially ones that can be used with a suppressor. Most of the AK mounts, a lot of which from Jmac also, are designed for like the key mount system for dead air, and using a 14x1 left-hand thread pitch. Now I wanted to at least try to maintain the original 24mm thread pitch on this, at least for the time being. And I felt like I had a very limited options until I came across a video of Jmac Customs demonstrating this muzzle brake here and showing it used in conjunction with not only a little blast forwarding device here, which we'll talk about here in a second, but also using it direct threaded into suppressor bodies. And that's kind of the main reason I picked this one out, and we'll definitely talk about how this thing works with a suppressor. But first, being a muzzle brake, I want to talk about how this thing actually performs as a muzzle brake. And I have to say this thing is very effective. Now, 7.62x39 isn't terrible when it comes to recoil, but for those of you used to 5.56 or even 5.45, 7.62x39 does have a little bit more oomph behind it, so you do have a little bit more recoil. Now, this gun has been tuned down pretty well. I do have an adjustable gas piston from K&S Precision, which definitely helps, but even before I did that, there was a very noticeable improvement in the shooting feel, I'll say, once I put this muzzle brake on. It helped keep the gun very flat, it helped me shoot very quickly and accurately. It is a very, very effective muzzle brake. It just makes this thing stay on target very well. Now, one of the concerns with a lot of muzzle brakes out there, as I had with this one, is with muzzle brakes you're typically adding flash and you're also adding side blast. So if you've ever been at the range with someone who is running a muzzle brake, it's typically, especially on a short barrel like this one, typically not super pleasant to be next to that person on the firing line. And so that was kind of one of the things I wanted to test. Now, I didn't have any sort of empirical test for this one. I can only speak to my subjective experience with it, but it's surprisingly not that bad. Now, I don't know whether it's because AKs are still pretty efficient in about a 12-inch barrel like this one has, or what the specifics are there, but I intentionally had a friend of mine shoot this gun while I was standing pretty much directly beside, maybe 5 or 6 feet away, but directly to the side of where the ports are on this muzzle brake, and it really wasn't that bad. I mean, obviously a brake is going to be worse than a flash hider, but I've been next to some like 10.5-inch ARs where with a muzzle brake, it's legitimately unpleasant to be next to them or even kind of offset behind them. This was really not bad at all. Again, worse than a flash hider, but far, far better than I was expecting. So I'm not going to say it's great with side blast, but it was really not that much of a concern, if I'm totally honest, which was a pretty genuine surprise to me with the look and shape of this muzzle brake. Now, I don't know what Jmac Customs would say about it, but from my subjective experience, it was surprisingly tame as far as that goes. Now, as far as muzzle flash, a lot of that's going to depend on the ammo you're shooting, as well as the length of your barrel. Typically, the longer the barrel, the less flash you experience. The shorter the barrel, the more flash you experience. The muzzle flash really wasn't that bad. During the day, you know, there was a little bit every now and then, again, depending on ammo. As it got darker, because I have been doing more later shooting and now night shooting with this thing, as it got darker, and especially using good hot mil-spec ammo, this thing was definitely throwing a little bit of fire out in front of the gun. Again, pretty standard fare when we're talking about muzzle brakes, so nothing too surprising there. But don't expect this to be as effective as a flash hider as far as flash reduction. That's not what a brake is designed for. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I did pick up this blast diversion shield from Jmac Customs, which is designed to thread on right here on the threads of the muzzle brake. And with that thing attached, we are looking a whole lot more like a Bulgarian 4-piece flash hider. Now, I will say that while this definitely does reduce the noticeable side blast of it, that's really all it does. Now, as the name implies, that's all it's designed to do, but that is literally all it does. It does pretty dramatically increase the felt recoil, and more surprisingly to me, something I wasn't expecting, is it actually increases the flash coming out of this muzzle brake very, very noticeably. So while it is pleasant, more pleasant, I guess, for people to be next to, not that the brake itself is that bad, you're going to be feeling a lot more recoil as the shooter, and you are going to be sending some pretty considerable fireballs down range. I actually had a chance to do some slow motion shooting with this muzzle brake with the crew up at GB Guns. Really good YouTube channel. Definitely check those guys out. They're doing a lot of good stuff over there. And this thing was throwing some fireballs in slow motion. It was pretty cool to watch. But again, keep in mind what this thing is designed for. Now, rumor has it they are working on an attachment that will help with the flash as well. But just keep in mind, again, what this thing is designed for, which is simply the mitigation of that blast and diverting it downrange instead of to your buddies. But now going to the kind of main reason I picked this suppressor, the integration of suppressors. The thread pitch that allows you to attach the blast diversion shield is the same thread pitch as a lot of suppressor bodies are using these days. So if you saw the video I did on the Dead Air Nomad family of suppressors, thanks to Silencer Shop, I was able to shoot this thing with a couple of those Nomads, and that's because the body of those, again, that thread pitch is becoming more and more universal with companies, so you can directly thread it on. It's the same thread pitch as things like the YHM. I think some of the Griffin suppressors use this body. Basically, there's a lot of suppressors that are compatible with this thread pitch. I don't remember the exact pitch off the top of my head. I'll put that on the bottom of the screen. But it does make it able to be used with a suppressor, and I will say it is very, very effective with those suppressors. Now, in all fairness, I haven't done a high volume of shooting suppressed with this muzzle brake, but from the few hundred rounds that I put down range, I didn't have to worry about things working their way loose or anything crazy like that. It was just a very straightforward and simple integration with a suppressor, which again is exactly what I was looking for with this thing. Now, whenever we're talking about suppressing AKs, we need to talk about concentricity. Now, they do sell a barrel shim kit that they will tell you you need to use if you're using with a suppressor, and I did use that with this. And then I also picked up a, what do you call them? Basically a bore guide in 7.62 by 39, so I could stick that down the barrel and check the concentricity and make sure I wasn't going to run into a baffle strike. And I actually had to spend quite a bit of time with a hand file squaring out the fit, because I was the one who cut the barrel off on this and recrowned it and everything, which went surprisingly well. But I'm also was not very good at making it square, so I actually had to spend quite a bit of time with a hand file, the suppressor attached, and then that bore guide to make sure that I wasn't going to run into any baffle strikes. Once that got sorted out, though, it went very, very smoothly. So If you're planning on using this with a suppressor, make sure that you get one of those alignment rods. That's the word, alignment rods. Make sure you get an alignment rod, and make sure that you are not going to run into a baffle strike, because that is not going to be a good time for anybody. But again, all that to say that if you are looking to mount a suppressor to your 24mm threaded gun and you don't want to go with a Dead Air Wolverine, this is so far the best option I've seen on the market, and again, it worked very well for me. So what are my overall opinions on this muzzle brake? So in my opinion, if you're looking for, again, an effective muzzle brake that is going to give you a lot of versatility as far as what you attach to the front of your gun, I think that this one from Jmac is a really good option. Jmac has been making a lot of really good and very popular, for good reason, I think, muzzle brakes for AKs. Whether you want to run a, again, chemo style mount for a Dead Air Sandman, they have options like that. Clayco47, if you guys are into AKs and not following his channel, you need to. That's how he typically runs suppressors on his guns, and he just makes those guns sing, so it's definitely worth checking out. But that's how he attaches his suppressors to his AKs, and it, from everything I can tell, goes very, very smoothly. And again, in a context of a 24mm thread pitch, it's again, best option I've seen. So again, if you're just looking for a simple brake, this is a really good option. Do you need that versatility of the blast forwarding device or the suppressor mounting? Maybe not, but it is a good option to have in the future. If you're looking for a flash hider or something like that, there are better options out there. And in fact, with night coming sooner and sooner as we get deeper into fall, or more in the direction of fall, I am actually going to be swapping this out to a dedicated flash hider. That way I can use it with night vision a little bit more effectively. But as far as just range time and everything else like that goes, this is going to be the main muzzle device that is going to stay on this gun, again, at least for the foreseeable future. So if you guys have any experience with the Jmac Customs products, whether it be these muzzle brakes or any of their other stuff, definitely leave your experience down in the comment section down below. Again, my experience has been very positive, but I want to get as many broad spectrum experiences as possible, so people who are watching this video can make a more educated decision and not just having to take my word for it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can leave those in the comment section down below as well. Again, I want to give a big shout out to Factory 47, my buddy James over there, for making this video possible. Ammo is it's a tricky thing right now, and him sponsoring the ammo to help get rounds through this SLR 107 made it possible for me to get my review and hopefully informed review of this Jmac muzzle brake in a somewhat timely manner. So definitely check out his website if you're into AKs. If you want to proudly rep your favorite country of origin for AKs or your favorite manufacturer, definitely check it out. He's got really cool stuff over there, as well as a blog that I've actually contributed to and will definitely continue to contribute to in the future. But anyway, with that being said, I do want to plug one more thing, and that is my Patreon page. I know it sounds cliche, people plug it all the time. There's a reason for it though. It really does make a big difference in what we as creators are able to do here on YouTube. So if you feel so inclined, definitely check out my Patreon page. We do post all our content over there early, as well as doing some exclusive content. We do live streams, we have a Discord server. If any of that stuff sounds interesting to you, or you just want to financially contribute to the channel, definitely check out the links below. But with all that being said, as always, I hope you got something out of this video, and I really appreciate you watching.